Hello guys, and welcome to a Terraria ranking of all the events in the game. Just for some closure, these events that we're ranking today are just going to be attacking events. And there's going to be 12 attacking events we're ranking today. We're not ranking Lantern Night or party events, just events that are attacking only. So, let's go ahead and get started with the worst event, in my opinion, in the entire game. The Frost Legion is a very crappy event, which is really bad. First off, it really sucks and it's forgettable, mainly because you can only summon this event around Christmas time because the presents are only dropped at Christmas time, unless you change time, or in the recent update where they made it to where the Frost Moon, if you get to wave 15, you'll be able to also get presents for a whole 24 hours in Terraria. This event sucks. The only drop in the game is snow. Yeah, it's just snow. And what makes it so bad is that this event could be so good with some reworking. Maybe like a snow golem enemy, or a bunch of enemy types and variations. This event could be so good, but really it's just so bad because it only drops snow and only has 3 different types of enemies. Overall, by far the worst event in Terraria. Alrighty, the next event in our list is the Torch God event. This is an event that happens when you place 101 torches underground in a nearby radius. This is a strange event because you don't fight it back, but it fights you. The torches fire out at you and get unignited until all the torches are out of flames, and then they all come back on and you get the Torch God's favor. The drop from this event is really just a really weird drop. I mean, like, a drop for the Torch God is just a drop, which is called the Torch God favor. I already mentioned that. But all it does is let you place the torches in a certain biome, and it'll let you place the exact biome torches. It's just such a weird event in the game that I feel like, yeah, it has some purpose, but really is so ignorable and unpassable. It's just a very dumb event in the game. However, at least its drop, I could see you using it compared to the snow. So that's why it ranks number 11 and not 12. Alrighty, the next event is the Slime Rain. The Slime Rain is an event where slimes rain from the sky. Once you kill a certain amount of slimes, there is King Slime Spawn. Now, this is a good event for a free King Slime spawn. Plus, whenever you defeat King Slime for the first time, there is now an NPC, which is the Nerdy Slime, which doesn't sell you anything, but is a cool pet. The King Slime spawn is really nice, and I really like King Slime. However, you can't say that this event is really useful in hard mode, because you only need to defeat King Slime once, unless you're looking for King Slime drops, but even still, this event is just really annoying to get in hard mode, and it doesn't even get harder in hard mode. It stays the exact same the entire time. So this is a good event, but is definitely a very forgettable event in the game. Alrighty, the next event is the Goblin Army. Well, the Goblin Invasion. This is a very cool and probably one of the best early game events in the game, getting you a lot of money, plus giving you spiky balls, which I guess could be a decent weapon early on. But the main reason you fight the Goblin Army is just for the Goblin Tinkerer. You can't tell me that people really want to grind out for weapons for it, unless if you're in hard mode, where you're able to fight the Voodoo Goblin, I guess? I don't know her name. But the Goblin does have good drops for all classes, I think. I think you might be missing Summoner. But overall, it's an event that's really good the first time, so you get yourself a Goblin Tinkerer and a lot of money. But besides that, you never really want to see this event again. And it just becomes a real nuisance for no reason. Okay, now a lot of you guys might backlash me for putting the Solar Eclipse this low on the list. However, I will say something. I do like the Solar Eclipse, but it just happens too often and is annoying. First off, if you fight the Solar Eclipse after defeating only one mech boss, it is the dumbest, most useless event in the game. It gives you, yeah, some accessories, but the enemies there have not really any good drops. So it ain't even worth fighting it, but sometimes it might happen and you can't even skip it until you get the Sundial, which can be a kind of hard drop. Plus, after you beat all the mechanical bosses, the enemies that you get after that are pretty solid, and then after beating Terraria, you can get Mothron, which is how you get Broken Hero Swords. This is a very useful event for getting Broken Hero Swords, and overall is a great event in the game. I just hate how often it happens, which I guess for some people could be a good thing, but for me it always happens way too often. Like after I get my Broken Hero Sword, I don't want these events to happen nowhere near as often. They should really fix this by making it to where at least after you beat Moonlord, the event becomes at least a little more rare. But no, the event happens so many times, and sometimes I just want to do something fun with my friends and playing multiplayer. But then we have to stop and wait and do this stupid event. Plus, it's really annoying because you can't skip it, unless if you have the sundial. And it's longer than a nighttime event, which is where most events happen. So it's a long event that you can't skip, and it's just a very annoying event. However, I still do like the event, but I can't say that it's anywhere near my favorites. Now, the Blood Moon, however, is an event that's like the Solar Eclipse, but does it right. It happens at night, which means it doesn't last as long. And once you get powerful enough, you can ignore the event, kind of like rain, which is super helpful. Now, I do think the Blood Moon and Hard Mode should get more enemies than just a clown. I think that's a little silly. However, I do indeed love how after you get powerful enough, you can ignore it for the most part. Yeah, you gotta still stay on guard, but it ain't like the Solar Eclipse where you literally have to say, huh, and move to your battle arena just to defend yourself in a good way. But I will say some things is that the drops from the Blood Moon are typically not that great in hard mode, which sucks. But overall, it is basically a solar eclipse that just does it way better, in my opinion. Alright, in my opinion, I feel that this event is by far the most forgettable event in the game. Now, does that mean it's a bad event? Actually, no. I really enjoy this event. It's just forgettable because it's not like a Blood Moon or a Solar Eclipse or Slime Rain where they happen naturally or are part of the main progression. But instead, you have to have a certain NPC, have a flat area, and buy the stuff to do the event. So it's completely optional, which is fine, but it's an event that's more forgettable to me. But its drops are pretty solid, and I like the idea of a wave-like event. Wave-like events just seem very fun, and it takes a spin on the wave-like event being like a tower defense event instead of like the Frost Moon or Pumpkin Moon. So overall, I would say it's a great event nonetheless, but it's forgettable and I could honestly just skip it out through most of my playthroughs. Heck, where I'm getting this footage from happened after I did all the other footages for all the other ones. Just because it's so forgettable, I almost forgot it even existed until I checked the wiki. Not a bad event, just a little forgettable. The Pirate Invasion. The basic definition of an event that I have actually seen people play through the game and not even get because they beat the game really fast. But this is an event, in my opinion, that's all about that money, money, money. All the furniture is golden furniture and can sell pretty well. And the drops that are actually weapons they're alright. They're not the best, but they're not bad. But I will say the Flying Dutchman has a lot of cool drops. You know, they got the discount card. It's all around a good event that I can recommend summoning again to get a lot of money from because it's a good money farming event. But it's the definition of it happens once and you don't want to really do it again unless you're looking for something specific. This is a great event. Recommend doing it because you get a lot of money and you get some really cool drops from it. However, I will say it is one of the better invasions, but it's just too similar to the Goblin Army. I think, in my opinion, the Lunar Events are an insanely good event, and I think most people would probably disagree with me. This event, in my opinion, is super fun. You fight the Lunatic Cultist, which is a fun boss fight. I love him. I like the design of him. He's a good boss fight, and it's actually decently challenging, but not really that hard. You have fought harder bosses before in the game. This event is also really nice because the lunar pillars are just a cool idea. For each class having their own pillar is just so creative. I also say that the event itself is all around a pretty solid event. And Moonlord happens right at the end. This event, in my opinion, is by far one of the coolest events in the game. And my favorite pillar, personally, is the Stardust pillar. This event in the game is just amazing, and I recommend anyone who hasn't done it before to beat the game and do it. Because either you've beaten the game and done the event, or you haven't. Overall, it's a great event. But I will say grinding it out for Moonlord is kind of annoying, but I still think it's just a fun event. Especially for the first time around. The first time you ever do it is by far the funnest time ever doing this event. Martian Madness. By far my favorite invasion event in the game. It's completely optional, host golem event, and it gives you good building blocks. It can drop you the cosmic car key from the UFOs, and can give you tons of drops. Now, the Xeno staff is really good. Same thing with the cosmic car keys. It's one of the best mounts in the game. Plus, you also get weapons for every class from the UFOs. This is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of an invasion event in the game. You can't tell me you don't enjoy it. This event is by far the funnest event in my opinion. The mini-boss in it is really fun and clever. Plus, the event itself gives really good drops. This event is an event that I recommend everyone try at least once, even if it is post-golem. This event is just a really fun event that gives insanely good drops. What's there not to like? The Pumpkin Moon. By far the most cleverest event in the game. The Pumpkin Moon is a wave-based event, kind of similar to the old one's army, but not really. This event doesn't have a tower defense like Esk, and it is basically you kill a certain amount of enemies, then the next wave comes, and each wave gets harder and harder. The drops are really cool, being that you get the Headless Horseman's Blade, which is required to make the Zeniths. And it has also got other good drops as well, like the Spooky Twig, which can make spooky wings. Plus, you can also get your hands on other drops as well, like the Raven Staff from the Pumpkin. Also, the boss fights, the Morning Wood and the Pumpkin, are very good boss fights. And the fact that they added this in the most recent update to where if you get to wave 15, it'll become Halloween. I can't speak today at all. It'll become Halloween in the game for 24 in-game hours. And you'll be able to get drops like the goodie bags, plus, then also get pumpkin Halloween enemies, like the Hoppin' Jack, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Plus, pumpkins will grow naturally in your world without having to plant pumpkin seeds. Goodie bags only have, customizable drops, but it's still cool. Overall, this event is so good, and I recommend everyone try it. I mean, this event is just amazing. I don't see how anyone couldn't like it. Ha 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 ha! You thought the Pumpkin Moon was good. Well, now we have the Frost Moon. Remember the Frost Legion trying to be a Christmas event? Get that out of here! Today, we're talking about the Frost Moon. In my opinion, the true Christmas experience that you can experience any time of the year. Just like the Pumpkin Moon, if you get to wave 15 or higher, it will allow Christmas time to be in the game for 24 in-game hours, which allows you to get presents and fight the Frost Legion. Not that you'd want to, but this is a fun event, and I like it a little better for these select reasons. First off, they have more bosses. There's 3 instead of just 2. You have the Everscream, plus Santa and Kay, which is a funny boss, and you also have the Ice Queen, which is a pretty challenging boss fight in my opinion. Overall, this is a really great event in the game, and by far my favorite. I like because it's a little bit more than Halloween, just a tiny bit, and the event has more bosses. I will say that there is no drops required for the Zenith or any overpowered weapons for in-game. But the drops from this event is also still really, really good drops. This event is a fun event and by far my favorite event in the entire game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. In the link in the description will be my Discord server. You'll be able to join it and talk to me about anything you'd like to talk about. Plus, I'll be starting to do some more game content like Mario Kart and possibly some Terraria content. However, it won't be as much. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It'd be really helpful if you liked and subscribed. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.